You could see he couldn't answer questions precisely. He tried to think of an answer, he couldn't give an answer. He'd say, oh, I can't remember, I forget, I can't remember, or I don't know, or I'm not answering that, or things like that.
Aliniona tu hivi akaja akanishika, tajiri wangu wa Mumias unafika huku. Ndio sasa nikaonyesha watu wa serikali ndio huyu. Sasa tukaenda naye mpaka Kisumu.
Sasa kwa naongea. Kwa sababu mimi nilikuwa sasa mimi huyo kijana na aliyetupeleka huyo kijana mwingine hakuwa nalo na maafisa wa serikali wawili.
When the Commission of Inquiry directed the police to produce Paul Shikuku as a witness, the government denied knowledge of the whereabouts of the Hearts boy. In fact, the government told the commission it was unable to trace him. In his initial statement, Paul Shikuku told police investigators that he had noticed the body of the minister on fire and ran away. But when the Hearts boy appeared before the Ouko Commission of Inquiry, he told the commissioners that one of Robert Ouko's legs was broken, his fingers had been badly burned. What is it that Paul Shikuku knew, and what is it he told investigators to warrant his interrogation again? The interrogation was not done at a police station, but in a hotel. In an elaborate plan to silence witnesses, several of them died under mysterious circumstances. Others feigned their death to stay alive.
Selina, I think she feigned her death. She might have been literate, but she was very, very wise. She feigned her death. Actually, the media bought into the issue of the death. I think she worked with some local police officers who were sympathetic, and her death was confirmed. For years, we all said Selina died.
Philip Kilonzo, the police commissioner during Robert Ouko's murder, also died under mysterious circumstances. Virtually all the workers at Robert Ouko's Koru home died in their sleep or after short illness, further complicating the probe into the minister's assassination. Former Nakuru DC John Anguka told Casefiles he survived a poisoning incident while at Committee Maximum Prison. John TROON says he was aware of some of the mysterious deaths, but did not foresee himself falling victim.
With me, so my wife came out, which I got authority for her to come out, and we were eating in the Sunset Hotel in Kasuba. I had tilapia fish, which is the usual diet thing there, you know, fish all the time, and she had chicken. And I went up to our room and I collapsed. And they were planning to run me down in a motor car accident, you know, with a big lorry. And if I had a car, they said it might be a bit too complicated because they didn't know my movements. So they decided to poison me.
Who was this behind the massive cover-up of a crime that shook a nation? Ezekiel Oyugi, who was arrested and released for lack of evidence, suffered perhaps one of the most tragic deaths. Oyugi was taken ill 6 months after his release in what doctors said was a brain ailment. Oyugi, who had been dismissed from the office, was denied a chance to travel overseas to seek medical treatment. By the time the government was allowing him to travel, his condition had gotten worse. Ezekiel Oyugi died in a London hospital. His body was not subjected to a post-mortem examination, reportedly because the family had requested so. Oyugi was flown back to Kenya in a body bag and quietly buried.
He had, as far as I know, there was no post-mortem on the body when he arrived back in Kenya either. So I don't know whether he buried, cremated or what, but...
Also on the spot at the time was Nicholas Biwott, the then powerful minister for energy. In his initial statement to the police, Biwott had denied that there was bad blood between him and the foreign affairs minister. The media had reported that Biwott and Ouko had fallen out during their trip in the United States. In his statement to the police, the then energy minister Nicholas Kipiator Biwott told police investigators that indeed he and Ouko got along very well during their trip in the United States. In fact, Biwott says they shared a vehicle, and even at some point, Robert Ouko asked him to employ his son in the Ministry of Energy upon completion of his studies overseas. Biwott denied ever calling the Foreign Affairs Minister Mr. President, as was widely claimed. Biwott also denied making a remark that Ouko was accorded treatment like a head of state during the US trip. The energy minister says he had nothing to do with the molasses plant that the London team of investigators believed to be at the center of Robert Ouko's murder.
And Ouko was not a corrupt individual. Ouko was a straight person, honest man, as far as I'm aware. He was putting together evidence for this on certain individuals within the government who was obtaining certain percentages. So, for instance, if there was a money coming in for people building the molasses plants in Kasumu, the people building them would be people from Europe. They had to pay certain individuals 2%, 5%, 10% or whatever.
In a statement to the police, the energy minister denied having received any commission from a man identified as Domenico Airigai. Biwott told investigators that he was in Nairobi on the night the Foreign Affairs Minister went missing. Biwott says he was not aware that the minister's passport had been taken by immigration officials when the Foreign Affairs Minister arrived back in the country from the US. Biwott told police investigators that he knew Mohammed Islam, but denied having sent him to act as a middleman in the rehabilitation of the molasses sugar project.
So I interviewed Aslam, and I gave my evidence at the Commission of Inquiry, Judicial Commission, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I named Aslam as the man that was putting this together. By 6 o'clock that evening, he was dead. Supposedly have had a heart attack. There's no post-mortem. And because he was a Muslim, he was buried very quickly. With no forensics, nothing, no post-mortem.
A commission of inquiry set up to investigate the murder of the Foreign Affairs Minister was rocked by setbacks before it was finally abruptly dissolved.
Chunga was a DPP. You may hate him, but the man is brilliant in terms of cross-examination. Chunga was pushing the inquiry into irrelevancies, asking questions, drawing a line that would actually have made it take it to a dead end. But then Ombaka introduced the issue of corruption, the issue of molasses into the inquiry, and that took a different turn.
Exit the Kanu regime, enter the Kibaki one, and the government once again promised to investigate the Ouko murder. In its report, the Gorsungu Parliamentary Select Committee told Parliament that Dr. Ouko was killed in State House Nakuru.
I don't want this question of arguments developed between you and the chair or any member of this committee.
But that report was highly disputed by many members of the team. In fact, the House eventually shut it down. The probe into the minister's death came to an end for the third time in 26 years.
I still maintain that there's sufficient evidence to put these individuals on trial.
For the murder of Robert Ouko?
Yeah, I still maintain that.
If there was a serious attempt where the investigation agencies, even now, although it's so many years down the line, were keen, to determine who may have been involved, I think that would be quite possible. And those are things which people have forgotten. But this kind of amnesia in this country is pathetic, because then our history will never be established properly for people to know these kind of tragic events that happened before.
Looking back, John TROON says Ouko killers are known, and some of them are still alive.
I had my own report. Which I've still got. My own one, which is a true record of my report. But I think the ones that the judges had was the ones that I call doctored. Bits were taken out that they didn't want anyone to see. So when it came to certain parts of my report that objected, shouldn't be read out. Some weren't read out and some were. So that was the first occasion when my report really was brought to light. And if you recollect, or you may not recollect, I named certain individuals in my report, and within 24 hours the police had arrested them. But they didn't charge anyone, they released them all again.
But that evidence has been passed on to 3 governments and nothing has given. Robert Ouko, the soft-spoken minister, left the scene as fast as he had risen in politics. But a quarter a century later, the secrets of his brutal murder remained buried with him. Will his killers ever be brought to justice? It has been 26 years now since the assassination of Dr. John Robert Ouko. Those who brought his illustrious career to an end are still out there, somewhere. Robert Ouko's murder file is still a case open. Denson Sarigo for Casefiles.